Commence primary ignition.
Hello, I'm Mary Oyaya. I played Jedi Master Luminara Ujuli in Star Wars Episode 2, Attack of the Clones, and you're watching the Virtual Cantina Network.
Thank you, Mary.
I love all the new people we have
I
for the
know.
bumpers.
It's
Rhode Island
fantastic.
Comic Con. I'm telling you, everyone needs
This
to
is
be
the
there.
way.
Thank you, Mary. Hi, everyone. Happy Monday.
We are here.
Happy
Waiting for everybody else.
post Thanksgiving. We hope everyone had a great Thanksgiving.
Yeah, same. I hope yours was good. I saw your pictures. That looked fun.
It was really nice. Yeah, my sister hosted. She is the hostess with the mostest now because she
Totally.
has the big house and the kids, right? So the kids are the focal point. But yeah, it ended up being nice. So just mom and dad, me and Jason, my sister Sandy, her husband Peter, my brother-in-law, and then the two kids, Aria and Penny, 6 and 2. So they are hellions in very different ways, but in the best way. But
Yeah.
I forgot to put on my ring light. The lightsaber stuff was hysterical. So if you guys go to my Instagram at Darth Von Olin, you can see my husband Jason playing with lightsabers with my nieces. And like I said, Penny is only 2. They got her the young Jedi lightsaber,
So
the
cool.
pinkish purple one,
Jamie
and she loved.
approved.
Yeah, it was great. But she started with the Kylo Ren full size one because that's the one that her sister has, and she has to do everything
Yeah.
her sister does. And Arya's swinging the Kylo saber, assaulting my husband. But it was a lot of fun. They had a great time. So it was a very nice holiday. And as I've mentioned, everyone in the group, hi everyone, happy belated Thanksgiving. We do Thanksgiving Saturday. So it is a nice relaxing day and there's no rush. There's less traffic. You get to spend the day. We had ham. Oh, it's wonderful.
I love ham
Yeah.
on Thanksgiving. It's just I think the best turkey I've had was like my boyfriend's roommates had Friendsgiving, and it's probably the best turkey I've ever had. It was so juicy and good. But other than that, like my family can make a killer ham, but they can't do turkey too well. So I was just kind of grateful for that at least. Um, yeah, my nieces all came over with their significant others, and yeah, my poor stepsister and her fiance had COVID, so
Oh,
um, my brother-in-law Al is actually in the hospital right now because he's
oh
got
no.
bilateral pneumonia. So
Oh
say a quick
Jesus.
prayer for him. But so they got to miss Thanksgiving, and I felt terrible for that. But I just hope he's on the mend. And yeah, other than that, Thanksgiving went really well. Other than that, and working all weekend because
Hmm.
retail people are going Black Friday shopping, need their coffee. So
Yep. Well, hopefully they were in good spirits and tipped well. You never know. I
I
know
hope
this time of year people are miserable.
yeah, it's rough.
Yeah,
But I
I'm
found these
jealous.
really cool things on my Christmas shopping
Okay,
travels.
you shared so for everyone in the chat, Ashley and I get on the call, of course, a little beforehand, but we try not to share too much with each other so we can ask questions and get genuine reactions and discussion
Yeah.
on air. So I saw those and I had to hold back and ask you, like, what are those? Because I don't know. So tell me everything about the most adorable things I've ever
So
seen.
they're called Qtopia. They are official Star Wars Qtopia. You can get yes, Murder Droid for the win right here. They have them in little boxes in the Star Wars toy aisle at Target. So they have the Loth Cat, they have Chopper, they have Ahsoka, and they have Grogu.
Oh,
And I'm like, I didn't even see Ahsoka and Grogu. I was just like, Loth Cat's a Chopper, and I just went
yeah.
for it. And my friend was with me, and he goes, "Did you not see Ahsoka and Grogu? Do you not want those?" I said, "You don't understand the volume of Ahsoka and Grogu merch right now.
Yeah.
Like
They're
these are the
inescapable.
rarities. I
Mhm.
like Instabuy, and they're like $6."
Oh,
and
that's
they're
awesome.
so squishy and soft, and they're just like, oh, I love them so much.
For sure.
I wish they were big. I really wish they were like massive. They would be pillows on my bed.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I not that I need
Hey,
more
Sherry.
merch, but that's the kind of stuff I would get.
Yeah,
Um,
it's just cute things for your desk, cute things to chill on your end table or on your bed with, and just oh, look at these. They're so cute.
yeah,
Look
I
at his
like
little
plushies.
paws.
My niece, we're gonna get her a plushie of who's Nubs is the young Jedi
Oh my god.
character he's the
New
sort of face of
breakout
that brand.
star right now. He was at
Yeah.
San Francisco Fan Expo, and so many people got their photos with Nubs.
Oh yeah, everyone loves the Nubs. I didn't realize Young Jedi was like such a hit because I'm obviously not the target demo, but my
Right.
niece loves it. So
Aw.
yeah, and I know Jamie's daughter Sabine loves it as well. So
Huge fan.
yeah,
Yep.
well,
And even lightsabers. The lightsabers are so cool and kid friendly,
mhm.
very light.
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
the main kid, his lightsaber is like a bright green.
Oh, cute.
Yeah,
Oh, Liberty. Yeah. So these are Qtopia Ahsoka plushies from Target. I got them in the Star Wars toy aisle. They're $6 a piece.
go
They
Target.
have they have these, they have Grogu and Ahsoka. So don't miss them.
Because we all
Hi,
need more
Catherine.
Grogu. Well, I hope everyone did some fantabulous Black Friday shopping, Cyber Monday shopping. I was going to jokingly hold up my phone because I'm on all the text message lists as well. And I can't tell you how many text messages I got today alerting me to the deals and the quantity of spam that's in my email is unusable now. And by the way, I know I'm contributing to it. Denuo Novo has an email list, and we only email usually twice a week. And during a sale,
Yeah.
usually like if there's a 5-day sale, you'll get 3 emails from us. Like we're really not egregious
Yeah.
about it. There
Absolutely.
are things that I subscribe to where like H&M and Express email me or text me every day. Every day.
I
How?
get
How?
Her Universe, Hot Topic,
Mhm.
um, Box Lunch,
Yeah.
Doc
And I want to
Martens.
know. I want to know when something good is happening. The problem is
Yeah.
now that we're flooded with the spam, I can't use my regular email because the filters don't work. Like nothing works anymore. Everything looks like real mail or everything looks like spam. It's that kind of idea where once you
Aw.
bold everything, nothing's bold. So,
Yeah.
because it's like, well, I do want to know what's going on with Her Universe because they have great stuff. And yes, Spencer T Public, they had a 40%
Yeah.
off sale on t-shirts and stuff. So that was great. Like those things are useful when we find out about it. And at the same time, I want one message from T Public, not 20. And I probably got 6, which is 4 too many, right? Like that's the issue. But I
Yeah.
don't know how you break through because if we only got one message and we missed it, I'd be pissed I missed it. Like I don't know how to
Yeah.
make this work.
Yeah. It's I think maybe like I sign up for text messages sometimes if I like really use the company a lot.
Hmm.
I don't mind getting on the text list, but like between like so Box Lunch, Her Universe, and Hot Topic are all owned by the same company.
Yeah.
And they've all been texting me multiple times a day.
Hmm.
I want to scream.
Yeah. No, I know.
But they
Um,
have the cool shit, so I have to keep the text messages.
mhm.
I
Well,
know, Sarah, I
they
really should.
They trick you because it's like, "Oh, save 10% or free shipping if you sign up for emails and then text messages," and then you usually have to do both, and you don't think about it in the moment because I just autofill, and then before you know it, you're on every mailing list, and you've done it to yourself. So, unsubscribe is the answer to that, which, by the way, I will often be on text threads with friends, and I'll just write back sometimes, "Unsubscribe," when I want when I abandon the conversation.
Thankfully, you
Um
don't do that to us.
no, no. Believe me, I've had my moments in the Facebook threads where I'm like, unsubscribe, unsubscribe. Um, but yeah, because it's too much, too many
Yeah,
messages. Um,
it's
but
overwhelming.
yeah, look, it's this time of year, right? It's temporary. Hopefully, everyone got their Christmas shopping or holiday shopping mostly done. I had to buy boxes of all the stupid stuff. So look, empty
Whoa.
boxes, pack of boxes,
Are those like
along with everything
t-shirt
else.
boxes?
Yeah,
Or as I call them, shirt
what is it?
boxes.
Premium gift boxes, 13 assorted sizes, 4 small, 3 shirt, 3 lingerie, 3 robe. All right, I
Okay.
don't know what a lingerie box is, but I got one if anyone
In
needs one.
in
So,
my day, they called them t-shirt
yeah.
boxes. not
Yeah.
lingerie boxes, but
Oh
yeah.
yeah, Sarah, we got to put your comment up.
Yes.
About Doctor Who. So one of the things that was very exciting about this weekend was the return of Doctor Who, the start of the 60th anniversary specials, starring David Tennant, who anyone in the Star Wars Rebels family
Wu
will know.
Yang is for the
Um,
younglings.
he's obviously our Hu Yang from Clone Wars, and actually he's in Ducktales as well. And weirdly enough, with
Scrooge.
Catherine Tate
Yeah.
Catherine Tate, of course, is the returning companion for this series of Doctor Who from 15 years ago. It's kind of wild that it was that long ago that
Wow.
they were together. And Catherine Tate's also in DuckTales with him. She plays Magica De Spell, which I think was one of those things where once they
Yeah.
cast David Tennant, they were like, "Oh, who do you want for Magica?" And someone was like, "Catherine Tate," and she was like, "Yeah, sure." It's only a couple episodes, but I love the special. I thought it was great. I thought it was so
Good.
well done. It was
Yay.
nice to see Sylvia again. It was great meeting Rose, who's Donna's daughter. Like it's just fantastic.
Catherine Tate, Mark's White Will.
Tell me about it. So every time I've tried to meet
Yeah.
this woman, she cancels as if she knows. I wore my Doctor Who cosplay at Rhode Island Comic
And
Con
you looked
just to send.
phenomenal.
Thank you. I felt very
Put
good
it
in that
out
cosplay.
there
It's one of
in
my
the
favorites.
universe.
I felt very good about that. And so I'm putting that into all the positivity into the universe. I loved it too, Sarah. I thought it was great. John, I agree. David and Catherine together again it really brought me back to 2008. Like she's my all-time favorite companion. He's
Oh,
my favorite
good.
doctor, and that season is my favorite season. So this felt like we're back. Hicks needs to wave hi to everyone. Hi.
Hi, Hixie.
Um, so
So
yeah, I
cute.
love that. That was a standout moment from the weekend. And then,
Awesome. I'm so
yeah,
glad you guys are happy about it because you guys are like true Whovians.
yeah,
I'm not like in any Doctor Who groups, but I'm in like a couple of Sandman groups and they're kind of like adjacent with like Jenna Coleman and everything and a
mhm.
few other actors that have appeared in both. Um, but the hate that they've been getting, it's just,
It's a very, very vocal minority.
yeah,
Honestly,
it's
the
like,
ratings were
this is why I
tremendous.
stopped watching. And it's like,
Yeah.
wow, no chill. But as long as I get
Yeah.
like some real like love from the true fans, the
Mhm.
true Whovians, that's all that matters.
The people who said they stopped watching have stopped watching. And they probably didn't even watch this. So it's the
Or
kind
when
of
they
thing
did, they're
where,
like, "This is why I hate the show.
yeah.
Doctor Who's going into the
Well,
trash."
I
Blah
mean,
blah
it
blah.
was 3 whole years when the doctor was a woman, and there were men who, like, literally checked out. They were like, "I'd rather not watch than watch if the doctor's a woman," and I was like, "What is wrong with these people?" But, like, honestly,
We
The
know
J
we're Star Wars fans.
yeah, right, we're on the front
Yeah,
lines of this every
yeah,
day. But yeah, Jodie was a good doctor.
yeah.
The episodes that were written for her were not great, I'll be honest. Like, that needed work, but that wasn't her fault. And they also gave her, like, 4 companions. It was a lot of competing people on screen. It was kinda too much. David, on the other hand, when he was the doctor, it was, like, peak writing, peak world building because he, like, took the ball and ran after Eccleston sort of restarted the whole universe. And they gave him just the right amount of companions. Now, his seasons weren't perfect, and I think the specials actually dragged at the very end because they kept trying to extend his time because they were worried about what to do. But they passed the ball to the right person. Like going to Matt Smith as a follow up from Doctor. We could do a whole show on Doctor Who, by the way, kids. That's a story for another day.
Yeah.
But like the transition from David to Matt is like kind of mind blowing that they both stuck the landing. Like they both really, really delivered. It's when you go from Amy and Rory exiting to Matt Smith's final companion, which is Jenna, like she's just not as good, and also the writing falls off. And then, yeah, Who Revisited. There, believe me, there's so much Who wraparound content now because everyone was getting.
And
It's
I'm
this,
just sitting here
yeah,
listening because I've seen
yeah.
maybe 2 Doctor Who episodes in my life,
I
and
think
they've
if
both been Tenet ones. So
yeah, look, I'm sure people tell you to watch Blank or Don't Blink. That's the one, the
that
entry
one
level.
and
Yeah.
the one with like the fireplace girl, like when she's
Oh, that's a
looking.
good one. Yeah,
Yeah,
it's a
it's a
weird one.
Christmas one.
So any of the Christmas specials as
Yeah.
standalones are really fun. There's a Kylie Minogue one. I mean, they're never fun. They're always tragic. But yeah, Matt was fantastic. I agree with John. Matt Smith is an excellent doctor and took us through the 50th. And he carried the 50th on the weight of his shoulders with basically a season under him. Sarah, I'm going to fight you on this one. I didn't love Clara, but I understand where you're coming from because I know a lot of people who had complaints about Amy and Rory because it seemed like Karen Gillan was the lead in the show. And it's the kind of thing I've also heard a lot of things specifically from women viewers who felt that like Amy wasn't a well-written female character. I loved her and Rory, and I love that dynamic. And there's something about those three actors where like Amy and Arthur and Matt just like really play well together for me. But I've heard that same feedback. And I don't personally have a problem with Jenna, like, but I felt like the writing like took a dip when they moved out of Karen into her, right? And so from there, when you pass the ball to Capaldi, it was already on its way down. And then Capaldi has a completely different energy and loses everyone. So that's where the show falls off. Also, it's after the 50th. Like you're never going to compare that energy. Now we're back and it's the 60th. And then you get this big bump with David coming back. It's a Star Wars thing too. Like the 40th anniversary of Star Wars, we're never going to capture that magic again. Maybe with the 50th in 2027, but
when we're 50.
yeah, truly.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm 40. I'll be 43 in January, right? So
And
I'll
I'll
be
be
closer to
41,
50 years
so
old. So
yeah.
yeah, it's that, and most of the fans are in their 50s now. So when we hit the 50th anniversary of Star Wars, we should be so lucky that the excitement, the worldwide global excitement that Doctor Who got for the 50th, Star Wars should top that. Unless something catastrophic happens between now and then.
Right.
Yeah. Who knows?
Fingers
Maybe we'll get
crossed.
another season of animated Rebels.
Yeah, sign me up, dude. Yeah,
I'll go
please.
host their wraparound show. The two of us. We'll do Rebels Recon Revisited. With that, we should
redo.
exactly Redux. We should actually start talking about Rebels now. But
Yeah.
my one call to action for everyone in the group: go see, watch the Doctor Who special. It's about an hour. It's great,
Okay.
and it gives you a little recap at the beginning, so you're not totally lost. And then I'm also hearing Godzilla -1 is incredible. So that comes out this weekend. So
Yeah,
gotta go
I've
see that.
heard a lot of good things from like longtime Godzilla fans.
Yeah,
Um,
those are my
having
two pop culture beats for the weekend.
oh, um, my pop culture beats. We'll just go over this real quick. I finally watched all the way through The Haunting of Hill House. It is phenomenal.
Yeah,
And
incredible.
second guessing everything, the red clothes. I was just like, oh, so good. The Flaniverse is real.
I know. Yeah, we can.
So
That's
good.
another. We're gonna do
But
Flaniverse Revisited too.
I love it, and I'm
Um,
really excited for Life of Chuck with Tom Hiddleston, Mark Hamill, and a lot of the usual suspects in the Flaniverse. So,
yeah, they'll bring in
but
some
yeah,
familiar faces.
aside from some pretty gnarly nightmares I got from some things, we're starting Bly Manor. I've seen it. Alan hasn't, so I have to educate him.
Yeah, I prefer Haunting a Hill House, and my favorite. The more I think about it, my favorite is Midnight Mass.
Ooh,
And
that
I go
one's
back and
deep.
forth, and I don't know if that's
Yeah.
everyone's favorite because it's very talky, but it is.
Lots
And
of monologues,
yeah,
lots of religious guilt versus like,
mhm,
you know, um, religious recovery, like substance abuse and recovery and things like that. So it's pretty wild.
yeah.
Um, like a lot of, Mark said, it's very talky. It's a lot of monologues, but everybody's just so good in this. There's no small role.
Yeah, it's so true. Everyone delivers in the screen time they've been given. So for everyone in the chat, I know
Yeah.
we've been doing this for a few weeks now, where we spend the first 10 minutes or so talking sort of non-Star Wars. If there's any interest in sort of a pop culture wrap-up show outside of the realm of Star Wars, I know the Nerf herders kind of do that a little bit. Um, Let us know if that's something you'd be interested in, because
Yeah.
I'm finding more and more that like while we don't have a Star Wars show on the air, I don't want to force create some kind of Star Wars topic,
Yeah.
where I'd rather like sort of wax poetic about what's going on in the pop culture. I'm so tuned into it because it's literally part of my job. Like today,
Same.
I actually
Me
had to
too.
do yeah, like I had to
Yeah.
do a write up on Monday because it's Monday of like who led the box office and what's going on with our particular licenses. So Godzilla is top of mind for me because -1 is getting great reviews, and as Jeff has mentioned, let's put his comment up as well. There is a dubbed version out there, but most of the showings in America have been subtitled, so you have to like double check your theaters, like which version's
Yeah.
playing. There have been some like sneak previews and stuff. The official opening is December 1st, but right now it's sitting on Rotten Tomatoes with 100% fresh according to the critics, which is crazy. Like and it's been
Ooh.
there for a little while, and it's
Yeah.
destroying numbers in Japan. Like it's doing crazy business. And now there's a spin-off TV show in the Monsterverse, which is not connected to the Toho thing, Godzilla -1. It's connected to Godzilla versus Kong, that the
Yeah.
Monarch show, Legacy of Monsters, is tremendous. It's got Kurt Russell,
Yeah.
Ryan Russell, and a great cast of other people whose names I don't know, but are just awesome in the show. Highly recommend that as well. So
Oh,
that one's
good.
airing
Yeah.
weekly on Apple TV.
I am a huge fan of Kurt Russell, and Wyatt did a phenomenal job in Falcon and the Winter Soldier. Um, it's it's cool that they have them playing like the
Yeah,
same character as
their
father
father
and son,
son. Yeah,
playing the same person, young and old. Um, yeah, Sarah. It takes place in this, I think, just after Godzilla versus Kong.
it's multiple time periods because they're
Yeah,
doing yes, right after, so after G Day, which is the arrival of Godzilla, a few years into the future. So right after Godzilla versus Kong, which is the most recent legendary
right,
movie,
right.
and they flash back to Japan in the 1950s. And so it's actually two generations, right? So that goes from grandparent to grandchild. So Kurt Russell's the same generation line is the other woman, the woman who's in the mix is the grandmother of one of the protagonists. So who's same generation line as they're going to find Kurt Russell. So there's a bunch of kids in modern day, and then there's the kids back then, kids in their 20s, who are now the grandparent generation in this show, and it's really good. I don't think you need to see any of the prior movies, Sarah. I think there's enough exposition to let you know, and they actually show Godzilla in episode 2 or 3, so you wouldn't be lost at all. Yeah, I would love to do a show on the network. God, I can't do another show on the network. I would love for there to be a show on the network that was just kind of a pop culture wraparound thing. I think that could be really fun. Like a box office and what are we watching kind of thing. Because that's how I often hear about things, is like, what are other people telling me to watch, and it could be a great discussion. You know,
Yeah,
that could be cute. I mean, something to think about in 2024. All right,
yeah.
on to the topic for tonight, which I know is why everyone knows, Spencer, I'm not doing another show. So let's put the comment up just so I can. No. Um, but yes, but it also, yeah, but Godzilla does have a lot of Godzilla, and it was great, and I highly recommend the Monarch show. And then yeah, there's a lot of fun stuff happening in pop culture right now. And now that the
Yeah.
strike is probably going to be over, the strike's over. I don't know if the deal is signed, but I feel like we're going to get back to regular
I think they
content.
sign in
Yeah.
what? I know there's a lot of people going back to work, like
Well,
Mason.
they have to vote still. So
Right, but Mason Alexander Park posted today that both Quantum Leap and The Sandman start filming on the same day. So
yeah,
he's
and
he's
look,
pretty beat up
Cr-
on work right now. But
Chris Pratt was recording for Garfield. Like, we all saw the trailer. So you know, the- there we go. All right, let's get into
pig.
our top 10 of Kanan Jarrus. I made a 10 list. Did you make a 10 list or a 5 list, Ashley? See, I'm telling you, we don't discuss ahead of time.
Yeah, we don't, but a lot of our stuff ends up vibing, so we
Yep.
just kind of like fly by the seat of our pants. Like, well, Mark prepares. I just kind of rattle it off, and I have like this paper list over here that I just kind of scribble down like my favorite moments and just compare notes.
Okay. How about I go through? Oh, there we go.
Yes.
Exactly. I
Boy.
don't think that anyone's surprised by this, because I'm very much like the Google Doc maker, and like the needs to be organized, because I'm also highly forgetful. And so if I didn't have this in front of me, I'd be like, why do I like Kanan? And I would have to think about it. Whereas if I where I thought about it and then I ranked it and put it in an order that made sense to me, and I
By the
made sure there's
way,
representation from every season.
yes, my soul is severely offended by this graphic behind us here.
Oh, I know. Like,
Just saying,
as
Spencer
if
made me draw this summer, you guys.
yeah, as if I'm not depressed enough. Like, this is
I'm like
just
drawing it like away from the table so I don't have to
trying to-
cry on it and
exactly.
mess up the inks, but Jesus. Stressful.
Kitty.
Yeah, little Hicks. He's so cute.
I know. He's oh, there we go. He's getting off my lap now. My foot is falling asleep from him being on top of me. There we go.
So chonky. Jeez.
All right. I will start
Kitties.
with my number 10. And by the way, actually, before we jump into that, I do want to mention I did post about this on Facebook about a week, not a week ago, several days ago, asking people what they wanted us to cover on here. Sarah had said when Kanan finally accepts the responsibility to train Ezra despite his misgivings. I have that on my list.
Oh yeah.
John mentioned him taking out the Grand Inquisitor. Excellent fight. We're definitely going to talk about Fire Across the Galaxy.
That was
Um,
my boyfriend's favorite too.
yep. Aaron mentioned everything with the Bendu.
Yep,
Um,
that was another one of Alan's favorites.
and then Mike mentioned in Spark of Rebellion when he reveals himself as a Jedi, so sort of the coming out moment, which I think was right on. So yeah, there were a few others. They all kind of overlap, but things you'd expect. I mean, despite the fact that he's in almost all 80 episodes, I think there are some moments that easily rise to the top.
Mhm.
Um, so wait, Sherry, we have to call you out here. How'd you not know that John Walker was played by Kurt Russell's son? Oh boy.
It's like his
Um,
clone. It's like
yeah,
there
there.
are some moments where he looks like Goldie, and then there are other moments where he's like 100% Kurt. It's
Mhm.
crazy.
You see it in Monarch too because they're playing, father son. It's perfect. Um,
So good.
all right, let's jump into Kanan. So my number 10 moment is actually what Mike had mentioned, the revealing himself to be a Jedi in Spark of Rebellion, and that's from season 1. It actually happens in episode 2, but it's one sort of big long episode where we get introduced to the Ghost Crew. We watched it together on the channel. I'm sure everyone
Yeah.
who's tuning in here knows Spark of Rebellion, but that moment where he like ignites the lightsaber and Agent Callus says to focus their fire on the Jedi.
Jedi.
And I was like, "Oh, man," like, because there are no Jedi right now, right? Like,
No.
they're all being hunted down by the Inquisitors. We think that Obi-Wan and Luke are the only ones left, and Luke has not really been activated yet. So we think that there's no Jedi. There's probably dozens, right? If we're doing the math off of the what used to be hundreds of thousands.
Right.
But that moment's really powerful.
I remember watching it live and just being like one of my friends was watching it with me, and she's like, "Is he related to the Skywalkers?" And I'm like, "No, his last name is Jarrus." Like, no, it's just not how it is. But that whole scene, that this strength in that scene where he's like, "Okay, I'm not hiding. The Empire is here. It's serious.
Mhm.
They've got an ISB agent after me.
Yeah.
Here comes the guns
And look,
or
they
the saber."
so I had to let Fry out of the room.
Aw.
um, so I, yeah, I mean, and they're there to free the Wookiees. They're doing what the old Republic didn't, or the Republic didn't, right? They're stopping slavery.
Yeah.
So they're doing something very humanitarian and putting themselves at risk. Hera and Sabine and Zeb and Chopper, everyone, to help Ezra and to help these Wookiees. And so it's a very selfless act and one that puts a target on his back literally, and they then put a target on the back of everyone on the Ghost for the entire first season. They're just being chased around by the Grand Inquisitor after that.
Yeah, they stop being like a mere bunch of like Lothalian troublemakers. Like they're serious. Like
Mhm.
there's a Jedi traveling with these people. They have a ship that can mask its signature. Like this is not your normal everyday like planetary uprising. This is the beginnings of something real. So
Oh yeah.
it makes them incredibly nervous.
So after, continuing in season 1, my number 9 moment was Ezra determined, or sorry, Kanan determining that he will train Ezra, and this is Path of the Jedi, also in season 1, and that's the episode where we get his awesome interpretation of the do or do not, there is no try, which is one of my favorite moments in the
Oh
entire
my god.
series.
Agreed.
Yeah.
Agreed. I ranked that one a little higher. I ranked that one. I think it was my number 4, but,
Oh wow. Yeah.
yeah, it's just, like, him totally being, like, one of us in that
Hmm.
moment. Yeah, Master Yoda said it a lot, I didn't get it when he said it either.
And
So
then he kind of flips it on its head, where at
yeah,
the end he's like, "Oh yeah, it's not about uh he's like, I'm not gonna allow their space to be doubt. I'm gonna do it. I will train you." But I like in that moment where he's like, I don't know what it means either. Like, let's just roll with it. Like he's such a B minus
right.
student in that moment. But yeah, like he makes that line make sense to us, the audience, 40 years later, even though I
Oh,
still largely disagree with it. Like, if we
yeah,
want to get into the philosophy of it, and I mentioned this before, the philosophy is Andor is you must try. And so, like, I feel like it's great competing philosophy over here. But for a Jedi, I think you really do need to just do. And Kanan takes that to heart, and he's like, I will train Ezra. And Ezra will learn, and we will get through this. Like, you sort of have to almost be
yeah,
um, like blinders on, like we're gonna
yeah,
achieve this.
like, letting go of the fear. It's him letting go of his fear and his self-doubt, like,
Mhm.
I didn't get enough temple training for this. Like my master wasn't around long enough
Yeah.
for me to be certified enough to be a trainer or a
Yeah.
master.
Yeah, he
But
was a child soldier. His master was killed in front of his face, which they, show us in Bad Batch for no reason whatsoever. Um, yeah, I know we're gonna fight about that. Sarah, this is your moment.
yeah,
You mentioned it in the Facebook post I put up. This was the one you were thinking of, right? Where it's like Kanan is very much like hesitant at first. He's like, I'm not qualified to be Ezra's teacher. And then he goes to the temple, has his little moment of Zen, and realizes what he needs to do. It's great. That whole first season, they visit the temple a couple times and they each keep getting a little bit more revealed to them and, uh, getting like they're earning the skills they need.
right.
Not just Ezra, but Kanan. Kanan's almost going through Padawan training himself.
As Balin Skull called it, Boken Jedi, like
Hmm.
Jedi that are
Yeah.
not in the temple but are still learning the ways, but in new forms.
It
And
made me think of the phrase like street smart as opposed to book smart or something.
yeah,
Ooh, those street smart
those
Jedi.
Boken
So yeah,
Jedi.
I
Yeah.
know.
But the thing that I love the most about the early once Kanan agrees to train Ezra, they're using everything at their disposal, including like making him balance upside down on top of the ghost while it's
I
flying.
love it. Yeah, that's the
And
same episode. Yeah,
Yeah, and
yeah,
Chopper just like throwing stuff at him and him having to like deflect it. Um, telling him, and this is another episode, but telling him he has to lift Chopper with the force and Chopper bolting himself down.
Oh, it's so
Like
good.
it's just things that Kanan is kind of like, okay, you guys kind of can't stop. You got to stop goofing around. Like we don't know how much time we have to do this, and you got to be trained. You got to know. So, but I think that is probably the fact that they use creativity on top of like the spiritual side once they go to the temple, and he waits for Ezra with the other fallen masters whose students didn't come back. It was an awakening for both of them, in the spiritual
Yeah.
sides of things, and they learned to take it more seriously.
Oh, without a doubt. Yeah. I think that Kanan shows as much growth in season one as Ezra does. They both have
Absolutely.
incredible character arcs throughout the entirety of the series, but it's amazing to think that like Kanan's sort of the Jedi master, and he still has so much learning to do, which is a,
Mhm.
a great lesson
Yeah.
for I think everyone. Because sometimes you think, oh, I'm going to grow up and be an adult, and I'm going to figure it out. And I was like, I got news for you. At 42, I don't know what the hell I'm doing.
Nope.
So yeah, good luck to all the 20 somethings just coming out of school.
Hey kids,
Good luck. Yeah.
40, you still
Um,
not.
do you have I forgot. Did I ask you already? Do you have a 10 or a 9?
Um,
Or
I
do you have a
have
list?
okay. So my 9 is Kanan going to like going with Ezra in they go to visit old Joe and they end up at the bar. I didn't write down I just wrote down like my favorite ones. But when they go to the bar and they're wearing those ridiculous costumes,
Oh, in
like
season 4 when they're
yeah,
undercover. Yeah,
yeah, when
yeah,
they're
yeah,
undercover
yeah,
and we're wearing it's
yeah.
typical Lithalian
It's
garb,
shenanigans. Yeah.
but it's so crazy. And then they go into the alleyway and they're hiding from the Empire, and him and Hera are that close, and the tension is just redonkulous. And I'm
Mhm.
like, okay, this is where he became a father. No, yeah,
So
but it's
I
just
have a similar thing because my
yeah,
number 8 was Kanan finally kissing Hera, and that
yeah,
also happens in season 4 in Kindred. I think it's
Kindred,
right
yeah,
around those same episodes
yeah.
because it's leading up to him, Fireball. So
Uh-huh.
it's all leading up to all that. But yeah, when they in the season 4, the start of season 4 returns us to Lothal. And the whole thing is now that they've dealt with the season 2 arc of like Ahsoka and the Inquisitors, and then in season
Finding
3 dealing
Rex,
with
yeah,
Thrawn, and all of that, and leaving Chopper Base. They're now headed back to Lothal to liberate the planet. And when they get there, they have to go undercover because they have wanted posters of them everywhere. Um, and the reason they're in disguise is so they don't look like themselves, which is
right.
kind of awesome. Yeah,
But the fact that they go into that bar and like nobody notices, including the people that have like known them before and seen them before, like the
Yeah.
Imperial pilot, ace pilot who's running the bar.
Oh,
Um,
that guy. Yeah, the
yeah,
one who got downgraded because he's no longer an ace pilot. That's what happens. You lose and they'll keep you on payroll in like a terrible job. Like you imagine being the bartender on Lethal. That sounds terrible.
oh yeah.
Like, ugh. Yeah.
Um, but I think like season 4 is where they fully kind of start fleshing out more than just like little glances and moments and calling each other love and things like that. And obviously, like they mean a lot to each other, but this like fully fleshes out the romance.
Oh, for sure.
Like it's
If it wasn't
no
a
more like a crush. It's just it's real.
Well, see,
So,
I thought it was very clear in season 1 that they were a
right.
couple, and then it felt like they almost pulled back on that in seasons 2 and 3 so they could, like, reveal it in season 4, and I was like, "There's no reveal, this is already happening." Like, they're already mom and dad, so,
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
you know.
Agreed.
Um, okay, my next item was related to Sabine because I always feel like, as we go through the various characters, I wanna look at their interactions with the other members of the team, and in Trials of the Dark Saber, which was one of the items we had on Sabine's top list, of her best moments, her training with the Dark Saber, Kanan was the one who, was really helping her use the Dark Saber and getting her to connect with it and helping her, overcome the sort of mental block that she had when she was struggling to use the weapon.
Yeah.
So I felt that whole episode was tremendous, more
So
so
good.
for Sabine, but also to show that like Kanan, and this is while he was blind in season 3, um, was still so attuned to the Force and understood his friend so well, that and he was able to teach her, and she was able to learn. Like it just shows everyone's skills at their peak.
Mm,
It's awesome episode.
yeah. I think Kanan also has a moment of doubt. Like once again, as he's training somebody, he has a moment of doubt and he reaches out to Hera and Hera tells him, um, didn't you say the force isn't everything?
Yeah,
Like, she doesn't
yeah, you got to be
have
open
this
to it.
ability. Yeah, you got to be open to it. It's in everything. And then he's just so frustrated. He's like, "Oh, she's just so." And Hera's like, "Mandalorian," and he's like, "Yes."
I know
But
it's
like, you
so
can
good.
sense like the frustration, but like she kind of guides him back into place. It's like, okay, you've done this before. You've had these doubts. Listen to her. Listen to your Padawan. You're doing this together. Like this is both of you learning from each other. And I think having Fen Rao there as well to kind
Yeah,
of
that helped.
guide him from the Mandalorian perspective was
Mhm.
incredibly helpful because he stopped seeing it as strictly Jedi and what he'd learned as a Jedi and just kind of factored in the Mandalorian thought process as well.
Mhm.
So that was pretty great. And it taught him to be open-minded.
Yeah. Well, you know what it is? Kanan, I think, has a heavy lift compared to a lot of other
Yeah.
Jedi masters because he wasn't actually a full knight until he gets knighted, and that doesn't happen until season 2. So he never had complete training. And if we go back just a few years, every master had an apprentice. So pre Clone Wars, every master had an apprentice who was taught from the age of an infant toddler at the school with a bunch of other teachers getting all their basics done, and then they
Yeah.
get assigned to you for like to take you over the finish line and to get like I guess field training and whatever else. Like that stopped happening once the Clone Wars started, right? Because like
Yeah.
it was just like, oh, you're thrown into battle real quick and it's like go figure it out. And then when the temple falls, there was no one left, but like if you did need to train someone, you better remember all the stuff that was in the books in the library because the library's gone, you know, Jocasta Nu is dead. We've got
Yeah.
no leader, no nothing, no school, no structure or anything. And then you're going to teach someone who's already an adult who doesn't know how to use the force, and she's a different culture, so you can't connect on that either. Like that's crazy. That's like writing a PhD in physics when you've studied like musical theater. Like I don't know how you even go about approaching that, but he somehow does it.
I like to think that Kanan made it possible for Sabine to be open to training with Ahsoka and realizing that it's going to be difficult and it's going to be hard work and it
Mhm.
just kind of it kicked that door and that expectation open for her because okay, I'm not going to be cocky and think I can do this because I've already seen it's going to be hard and it's going to take time. And so
And it was really challenging for her.
so to have him be her first master for all intents and purposes,
Mhm.
it definitely made her more patient and more forgiving with her own shortcomings. And I think that opened her up more to be attuned to the Force.
Oh, for sure. Yeah, like he did a great job.
Yeah.
And it's the kind of thing where I still one of my all-time favorite episodes.
Oh yeah.
Um, what did you have for your number 7?
Okay. Number 7, I had um let's see. I had Kanan knighted as a Jedi. Like,
Oh,
I know it should have been
yeah.
ranked higher, but honestly, I think I get it. To have that official spiritual knighthood by Yoda is important to him as a Jedi, like on the spiritual side, but I don't think he really needed it. I think the spirit was there
Mhm.
and the will and the force was there, and he learned so much about himself before he got to all that, and how to be more forgiving and less hard on himself as a master. Um, I think well, I think having the Inquisitor um, knight him was just kind of like I don't know, that one still strikes me as weird. Like, I get it, he was a temple guard before he was an Inquisitor, but just the familiarity of it, it was just kind of a little off-putting to me.
It's a
Um,
strange
yeah,
scene for sure, and it was confusing, I think, for a lot of people unless you watch the recon episode or
yeah.
you have to really stop and think. I actually had it as my number 2 moment because I just love that whole sequence. That whole
Oh,
episode is one of my favorite. Shroud
oh
of
yeah,
Darkness
it's
is
phenomenal.
incredible. It's probably
But
one of the best Ezra episodes because
yeah,
he gets to commune with Yoda and gets to see him. And then the Inquisitors, I think when we did our Inquisitor moments,
mhm,
them essentially destroying the Lothal temple in this episode is one of my favorites. They get
yeah,
banished from the temple on the way out, but like I don't think the temple works after this. I think it's no longer viable.
right.
Um, but yeah, Kanan he faces his fears, right? Kanan's big fear is failure, which I think is a common fear for most overachievers and I think most people, right? We're all afraid to fail in some way. And his concern is that if he fails, like so many other people are going to suffer the consequences, not just him. It's not like he fails and it's just him. It's Ezra, it's Hera, it's Sabine, it's the whole rebellion. Like I
Yeah,
think he's carrying the weight of the galaxy on his shoulders. But like the Grand Inquisitor, who he defeats in battle in the temple, he doesn't really defeat him. He kind of loses and then gets knighted. It's a really interesting sort of
yeah,
flip on the trope, but it was also just a cool reveal that like the Grand Inquisitor ends up being, a former Jedi Temple guard. I did not see that coming for
no,
sure.
I didn't either. It's
Yeah,
definitely very Matrixy in that regard, where you got like
yeah, the
Neo and
training.
Morpheus kicking
Yeah,
the crap out of each other, but then Padawan becomes the master, and he's doing stuff that Morpheus can't do, and Morpheus is like, see, I told you he's the one,"
yeah.
and they're just blown away by his skill, and I think that's kind of very reminiscent in that scene, but I don't know. It aggravates me in that regard because um the whole thing that he struggles with is the fear, and this obviously trains him to lose that fear. And I'm gonna say something that might be controversial here.
Go for it.
I
That's all I do.
Yes, I really think that him losing his fear, and in the final fight with the Inquisitor, like in real time, where he's afraid that Ezra is killed,
Hmm.
and he's like, "I have nothing to be afraid of anymore." I think that ultimately it stays fresh in his head once you get to Jedi Knight and the events of Jedi Knight, where he's got no fear and he realizes that Lothal will fall, the rebellion might fall, and he will lose his family if he doesn't be brave and literally stand against the firewall that's
Hmm.
coming for all of them. And it just pushes him to be brave. And I think that's probably what triggered it. Like like I have more to lose if they're gone. If they're here. Like if they're gone, I've got nothing to lose and I shouldn't be afraid. So I don't know. I feel like that inspired what happens in the events of Jedi Knight.
Yeah, I agree. Um, I think, and I forget where I read this, that someone said if it wasn't going to be Yoda, it would have been cool to see Depa Balaba come back in some form in there
Oh.
instead. Like if they revealed, like the reveal could have been a full reveal where it's not just take off the mask, but it's like you go like this and it's a different person. It's Depa. Like something to make it emotional, not the Grand Inquisitor. Like
Yeah.
the Grand Inquisitor being the guy that did it is still confounding for people, and I
Mhm.
still see it as like, you know, if you really want to pick apart things in Rebels that doesn't work or doesn't make sense, that could be on a list.
Yeah, that's
Um,
that's why I
yeah,
ranked it lower
yeah.
than
It
that.
doesn't bother me, but I
Yeah.
understand why other people are bothered by it. And I'm thinking I think they were trying to remind us that that character existed, um, and mattered because we were
Yeah.
dealing with the regular Inquisitors like the
Mhm.
rest of them this whole season. Um, but like Depa would have been much more emotional, even Yoda. But Yoda was having the moment with Ezra. So this is
Right.
where it's like, well, who then? Like Mace Windu doesn't make sense. Like, but Depa would have made a lot of sense.
Yeah. Oh my
So
god, that would have been so heavy.
I would have liked that.
Yeah.
All right. My next moment was after training Sabine, fighting the seventh sister, and I put in parentheses and the fifth brother, but it's really about his interactions with the seventh sister in Future of the Force in season 2.
Oh,
And
yeah.
the reason this works for me is less of a Kanan moment and more of a Freddie Prinze Jr. moment. Aside from the fact that Sarah Michelle Gellar is one of my all-time favorites just in
Mhm.
the world,
Yep.
they are obviously a real life husband wife duo, and their little banter is like very, very cute. You know, Seven Sisters only in a handful of episodes. She doesn't have that many lines. The character's very cool. And she puts up a good fight against everyone. She gets her ass handed to her by Ahsoka minutes later, but she beats
Mhm.
the crap out of Kanan. She and Fifth Brother. So that's just really fun. And I know it's not like a great moment for him because he gets destroyed. And Ahsoka has to save the day. But like the cute little banter with Seventh
Oh,
Sister
yeah,
makes it all worth it.
totally flirty, like,
Yeah.
she kinda treats Ezra the same way, like, she's a little like, "Hey there," like,
Mhm.
very Rose the Hat about her to go back to Doctor Sleep, but, no, she's to see her get extra flirty with him as she's kicking his butt
Mhm.
is just like
Yeah, she either
it's
calls him cute
adorable.
or handsome or something.
Yeah, and
Um,
you just sit there like, oh, because you know,
yeah.
and you're just like,
And
"Wait a
they're
minute,
still
she's"
together.
Yeah.
They've been together since they had a 1 in front of their age, if I'm
Mhm.
remembering correctly. Like, they were 19 or 20 when they first
Yeah.
met.
Yeah,
Like,
yeah.
yeah. So, amazing. I realize that that's a very silly one to have on the list, but
Yeah, but it
I love that episode
matters.
too. That episode is I was also looking at episodes in totality. Future of the Force is a top tier episode.
Absolutely. It's 3 men, 2 Jedi, a Lestat, and a couple of babies.
Yep.
It's just
And
it's
one of the best
insanity, but
Inquisitor
it's
fights in the
so
entire
crazy.
show, right?
Yeah.
One of the best lightsaber fights in all Star Wars, Ahsoka versus Fifth Brother and Seventh Sister. She should have killed them both. I stand by it. I say it every time. It's the biggest mistake in the series. But it's yeah. Right. Sarah, we were
Yeah,
in on the
Sarah.
secret. That's what it was. It felt like, we knew something that maybe some other people didn't. Yeah. All right. So what did you have as your number 6, Ashley? Or 6 or
Um,
5? I forget where we are because that was
okay.
my number 6.
So I had as number 6 connecting with the Bendu. So like I took your
Mhm.
number 5 and it was my
Okay.
number 6. Um, I ranked it a little lower because again, he struggles with the doubt and he struggles with like he's blinded. He thinks he needs, those sensors, the radio signals to keep the spiders away. And, the Bendu is reminding him that like, you know, you have nothing to fear. It's the fear that they feed on. They're only going after you because you're afraid of them. Like, don't
Yeah.
be afraid of them. So it's training him to be a kind of um, to have that innate ability like Ezra has to reach out with the force to nature, but also to kind of like again squash the fear, stop being afraid of these creatures. Like they're just there. They're not out to hurt you. And it's like when you have a spider on the wall in your house. I get it. No one likes to have spiders on the wall in your house. But when you look up like what they do, it's a little less jarring. Like if there's a daddy long legs in my shower or something, I just kind of let it be. And because it's there to eat mosquitoes and gnats and it's not gonna bug me. But I think the Bendu teaching Kanan the natural side of things that he's very methodical and Ezra's more of the natural world. it kind of opens up that part of his brain to the Force. So it was pretty cool to watch that, even if I
Yeah,
don't like spiders.
I know. Oh, the spiders terrify
Yeah.
me. But yeah, that idea that they're not innately scary; they're just part of nature. Is very much the neutral kind of aspect that Bendu talks about, right? Like the spiders must be terrifying if you're a fly, but not so much if you're something else that's a predator that one might eat a spider,
Yeah.
right? Like lizards eat spiders. So that's the kind of thing where like the Bendu is like filled with that kind of, I almost want to say like silly wisdom. But I liked in this episode, the episode I actually picked out was like Steps into Shadow,
Ooh,
which was
that's
the
a good one.
start of season 3,
Yep.
and that's when he first sort of communes with Bendu. I like that Kanan's spiritual mission continues to get more and more abstract and weird as we go. Like the temple gets him to like, hey, you need to be a good teacher for Ezra. Oh, hey, you're a Jedi Knight now. Oh, now you're dealing with Bendu, which is like on a totally different plane of existence. Oh, and now you're actually in season 4, you have clarity to really see the future and you know what you
Even
need
though
to
you
do.
can't
Yeah.
see.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So
and
yeah,
that's
there's this.
also what he struggles with in that episode because he thinks he's blinded, that he's gonna be useless as a teacher, and the Bendu's like,
Mhm.
"No, the Force is in everything. You do not need sight to see in the
Yep.
Force."
Oh yeah. I mean, that's a throwback to 1977 right there. Like Luke putting down the screen so he doesn't need to lock in with the
Yeah.
computer, to trust the Force. Yeah, it's 100% in line with all things Star
Yeah.
Wars.
And John says
Also,
that he never
yeah,
expected the 4th Doctor to regenerate into the Bendu, but he loved him in the role.
yeah. Oh,
Absolutely.
Tom Baker. I'm obsessed with the
Did you
whole
get to
Tom
meet
Baker
him?
run. I no, I've not met him because he doesn't really do a lot of public appearances anymore. He's pretty
But
old
when he
now.
was signing for Tops, like, didn't
We
he
mailed
sign?
cards to his house. We do that with a
Oh,
lot of actors. With
okay.
baseball players, I mean, we mail stuff to baseball players too. And Topps is, by the way, this is all public knowledge. Topps often mails things to sign, and then you always have to have like a witness, which is usually like an agent, and they fill out that form. But like with baseball players, you can often get to the stadium, to the locker room or wherever, and do signings like
That's
kind of
wild.
there, which is
Yeah, yeah.
easy. And you also collect things easily like uniforms or plates, like home plate, bases, balls, bats, like socks. Like we take everything. Cleats, you never the amount of
Give me your
dirt.
laundry,
Yeah.
players.
No, we do, and it'll get tagged and labeled. MLB
Yeah,
is a very good partner with that. They're the
great.
partner. I mean, Tops and MLB are like, I mean, and now that it's Fanatics, it's even more
Fanatics.
so. But with Star Wars and any entertainment property, we'd have to mail the cards usually to their house or catch them at a public event where they've got a private time at a convention or something. But that was rare. People hate doing that. If they're at a convention and if they have downtime, they want downtime unless they know that there's like scheduled time for private signing. So usually it's like, and the nice thing is we always tell people like you can sign in your underwear. Like we'll mail this to your house and you just like sign at your heart's content. You've got like weeks to do it usually, to get them in. And you'd be amazed at how many people lost their pens, can't find the cards. Where did it go again? Oh, I gave you the wrong address. You name it. I've heard every excuse. Oh, I can't find the return label. It's unbelievable. Um, but like, yeah, Tom Baker, it was mailed directly to him, and I didn't get to meet him. I've met numerous people from Doctor Who in person. In fact, I recruited many of them to sign autographs for us by going to a convention, and getting all their contact info. And I'm trying to think if I met Sylvester McCoy that way, or if I had met him before. But Paul McGann, who's the Eighth Doctor from the movie,
Yeah.
got a picture with him. Everyone was super nice across the board. Not one
Wow.
bad person in that 60 years of Doctor Who. Every person I met has been nothing but super
That's
nice. And maybe it's a
phenomenal.
British
Wow.
thing, but like, yeah, top tier.
Yeah, that's amazing.
I you had you had I connecting with the Bendu is my number 5. You had it at
Mhm.
number 6. What was your number 5?
My number 5 was, pardon, let me scroll up this list. Um, my number 5 was, let's see. Oh, Inquisitors of Maul, like
Ah,
in Twilight of the Princess.
it's my number
So,
4. So
yeah,
we're right. We're
it's
tracking right on. Yeah.
we just keep going that way. Um, I think like having him team up with was pretty cool because like I don't want to say she's a little more used to being a Jedi, then and Kanan's had to keep the Jedi-ness in check for a long, long time.
Oh yeah, she's
And
she's a few
Ahsoka,
steps ahead of him for sure.
yeah. So Ahsoka's also been on the run and also kind of felt like that, but I feel like she's also become more attuned to the spiritual side of the Force than he has.
Hmm.
So to have them like team up and kick these Inquisitors' butts, also with Chopper and that TIE fighter, which I will never get over, you guys. I love that so much. Um,
That's a great moment.
but just to have them like kicking butt together, uh, the race to the top of the pyramid and Malachor to just get that the holocron and save Ezra from Vader and Maul is just it sets up so much, and I think they both have a lot to lose because Kanan's fighting Maul and getting his Padawan and like protecting his Padawan from the dark side. Ahsoka is realizing that her older brother, her master, Anakin Skywalker, has become this horrible, evil Sith Lord, and she's struggling with what that means for her and everything she's known throughout her entire life. Um, she he learned to they both learned to keep each other focused. Like, okay, these are the things that we have to focus on. We have to get Ezra away from Maul. We have to
Hmm.
stop Vader and Maul from getting the holocron and finding out the secrets of the Sith to destroy the Jedi. So it was a really high stakes episode, and it was like dream team up. I
Hmm.
think in
I
Star
mean,
Wars.
there's a reason it's the top rated episode on IMDb,
I love it.
for critical score. Twilight of the Apprentice. Uh,
Ahsoka.
the team up is incredible. Kanan goes through so much. That's where he gets blinded by Maul. But the team up before that is great because he knows not to trust Maul, and it's a split second, man. Like, because the whole rest of the time
Oh,
he's like focused. And you're right, Ahsoka's a couple steps ahead of him at all times, so he's like learning from her the same
mhm.
way Ahsoka was learning from the Jedi before her. Like, it almost seems like she's just one rung higher on the ladder of
Yeah,
making your way up. And she would have been a Jedi master by then for sure if she had stayed at the temple. Um,
absolutely.
yeah, and they were a great team. I loved Ahsoka and Kanan's moments because she would often impart some wisdom on him that was a little bit backed up from book smarts from being at the temple a little bit longer, but also from her time with Anakin. Because Anakin was great until he wasn't, right? Like that's the thing. His fall is that bad because like he was the Jedi. He was the dude, right? And then bam, he off to the dark side. So
It's
so was
like
Kanan.
having like the high school football star go to jail for
Yeah, for a
serving like a
DUI.
horrible
Yeah, there you
crime.
go. Yeah,
Yeah,
of
so
course. And how many times has it happened? Pull up your local paper. The fall from grace is always
yeah,
that. But Kanan, I think, really shines in that episode. I think we talk a lot about Ahsoka and Vader and Ezra, and Kanan's there throughout it all, being like, as always, the supportive dad in every situation. And he comes out of it like scarred, and blinded, but then it sets up a really incredible spiritual arc for season 3, which is fantastic. Love that episode, and we've watched it on this channel. We'll watch it again. Damn it, we'll
yeah.
revisit the revisiting. All right, continuing down the list or up the list, as it were. On number 3, I have defeating the Grand Inquisitor in Fire Across the Galaxy, which I think we could go on and on about that, and we've watched that episode on the channel as well. I mean, the Grand Inquisitor would probably be considered Kanan's number one nemesis
Mhm.
in the show, and Kanan takes him out at the end of, I mean, defeats him, and then the Grand Inquisitor decides to off himself because their fate's worse than death, right?
Yep.
Um, so I think in that moment you brought it up earlier with Kanan being afraid of losing Ezra, and he has nothing left to lose. Um, he's like untethered and sort of unhinged in that moment. It's actually a little bit scary,
Yeah.
but he's so good, and Freddie's performance is incredible, and it's such a great ending to season 1, which just got better and better every episode. I can't say enough good things about Fire Across the Galaxy.
Oh yeah. It's like first of all, it's given proof that like Star Wars is a giant OSHA violation. Why don't
Always
you have
no
fire
railings.
guardrails anywhere? But yeah. Um I think yeah, just the possibility of Ezra being dead just kind of pushes him over that edge, and he realizes that he's not no longer afraid. He doesn't have to hold back to or be on his guard to protect Ezra at a moment's notice. He can focus on what's in front of him, and he's scary in this
Yeah,
moment. I
the Grand
truly
Inquisitor is
think
very strong.
Yeah.
Has beaten both of these guys handily,
Yeah.
easily, and
And
just toyed with them numerous times throughout the season.
he totally pulls a Kylo Ren and he's like fishing around in his mind while he's being tortured, while he's
Yeah,
torturing Kanan. So this is a guy that literally knows everything that makes Kanan tick. And Kanan having that constant fear that his Padawan is going to be a failure or he's going to go to the dark side, and just being like, am I good enough for this? The Inquisitor knows that, but when they both think that Ezra is dead, it cuts that off and it allows him to focus on the task at hand. And Kanan's dangerous in this episode.
yeah, it's amazing. Okay, going back to wait, what was your number 3?
My number 3 was, let's see. Yeah, definitely the Jedi Knight episode. I rank that one number 3 because it's just too heartbreaking to be number 1.
Oh, I have it
I'm
as my number
so
1.
Oh, I
That's okay.
couldn't.
Let's talk about it now because I think
Yeah,
it's one of the. I think it's the reason it's the main graphic. It's one of the greatest moments I
absolutely.
think in the entire series.
We've never seen, especially in cartoons. Cartoons tend to kind of play it safe, and there's never been like a horrific sacrifice like this. Like he literally used the Force to push his family out of the fireball and just died. Um, Along with everything that Grand Admiral Thrawn had built on Lothal for his TIE Defender program, and it's just he brought them down. He single handedly brought down the Empire on Lothal, which is amazing.
Yeah,
But the loss to both the rebellion, um, and to the Ghost Crew, their family, like their patriarch is gone.
yeah.
And in a horrible way, like, right in front of them, like, everything they could have
Oh, the
done
trauma.
differently.
Yeah,
It's absolutely traumatic, and I couldn't make it number 1, Mark, I'm sorry. I
that's all
I
right.
don't do well with
I did.
trauma.
So I think it's reasonable
Thank you,
to say
Sarah.
that it's
Sarah
too
gets it.
sad. Yeah, no, I fully get it. It's a heartbreaking moment. I think it's delivered really well. I think we all saw it coming in 2 ways. When the series started and they said, "Oh, Jedi Caden Jarrus," I was like, "Well, he'll be dead by the end of the series." Um, and then when the actual episodes, as we started gearing up into the finale, and I was like, "Oh, things are getting bleaker. Oh, these episode descriptions are very nondescript, and some of the titles, Doom and Jedi Knight." I was like, "Oh, they're finally going to kill Kanan." We
Ugh,
all sort of, as a fandom, knew it was coming, and yet it still punched us in the stomach, and it hurt. Like it was, and that's what means. That means they were doing their job. Like this hurt, but in the
absolutely.
best way.
Yeah.
All right, what was
And Freddie
your?
wanted this too, so
Yeah, no,
Freddie and Dave worked together
yes,
on this madness, so
Sam probably told him. I bet you Sam was like, there's no way Kanan Jarrus should survive. Like, dude, let's find a way out." And Sam Witwer probably helped, I would think, because they're both such geeks, the two of them. They know their stuff. So
yeah.
excellent. All right,
Yeah.
that was your number 3. What was your number 2?
My number 2 was less direct, but obviously it wouldn't have happened without Kanan, and it's the reveal of Jason Syndulla.
Oh, that's a good one.
That
I didn't
line,
have that on my list, but
yeah,
that makes a lot of sense.
I get it.
Confirmation that his
Yes,
bloodline continues.
absolutely, and it was shocking because you've never had like, first of all, you've never seen a Twi'lek human child before,
Yeah.
and Sabine's dialogue over it, like her voiceover saying, well, like, as for Spectre 7, Jason Syndulla, you all know what his father was like. And
Yeah.
it's not saying it, but it's saying it, and it's just like, oh, like, and you see how Hera looks at him, and she's so proud, and he's like this freewheeling, happy-go-lucky kid alongside his mom and Chopper, like in the Ghost, living his life, and it's just like
Hmm.
you see that innocence that was lost in Kanan when he um Order 66 happens, and it's just hope for them.
Yeah.
There's so much hope
Ki
in that scene.
Kids in Star Wars don't get to be kids. They're constantly at war. Look, we're
Right.
dealing with that in the real world too, right? Like there's just
Mm,
kids who can't get to be kids, adults who can't even get to just be people. It's
yeah.
constantly some fucking war, some war on. Sorry.
Yeah.
Like it doesn't end. Um, yeah, and in Ahsoka they did give us
I
actual
like that.
confirmation that
Yeah.
it is Kanan. He
Between the
wears the
triangle on
pauldron and
his
yeah.
on his, like, little badge thing, and he gets to talk about, like, a Jedi like his father, and it's
Yeah,
like,
they
"Oh!"
explicitly say it, between Sabine and Ahsoka and everyone, which is good. I never thought that was ambiguous, but
No.
apparently some people are like, "We need confirmation," and I was like, "All right, Jesus
Nobody
Christ."
said it.
So
Yeah.
yeah,
Dave
um,
knows.
all right. Well, look, that hits all of mine because I had the sacrificing himself in Jedi Knight as my number one, and being knighted in Shadow Darkness is number two, and defeating the Grand Inquisitor is number three. I think the only one you have left on your list, Ashley, is your number one, right?
Yep.
All right. What is it?
Um, my number 1 is it's so silly, but just, like,
It's not
the
on my list at all. It didn't make
yeah.
my top 10, so I'm dying to know now.
It's the okay, so it's not like a pure moment, but it's just the fact that, like, the banter between Hera and Kanan. Like, when you're with someone and you're in a relationship and they're familiar and stuff, and they're talking about stuff, and he's like, "This is my excited face," and she goes, "Oh, yeah." Like, it's just those moments that just brought, like, so much more, like, goofiness and humanity into a very serious event. Like, they're at
Mhm.
war, and, you remember that these 2 are in a relationship, and they're literally giving it all that they can, but they have these moments of levity. They have these moments of happiness, and you can see that, like, the Ghost Crew is a family, and it's based on these 2,
Yeah,
and
and, like, they're
this
the
is where
glue
it starts.
that holds it all together. If they don't work, the show doesn't work. Um,
Absolutely. And
yeah.
just the banter and the love that they obviously have for each other, but the willingness to just be like, oh, like when you just the one you love does something stupid or goofy, and you're just like, whatever. Like, I honestly loved that, and it made them so much more real to me, and I liked that. It didn't pass over those moments and just be like, oh, those two, oh, thank you, Sarah. Those two are not, like, in a relationship. Like, okay, this is like Batman and Catwoman, like, or like Wonder Woman and Steve. It's just it gave them, like, everyday humanity, and I
Yeah.
something that I didn't know I wanted, and it's perfect. So,
I like that a lot because I think that Kanan and Hera are their dynamic is one of the best things within the show. And again, like
mhm,
if theirs doesn't work, the rest of it doesn't work. Like you could say that it's clunky with like Kanan and Sabine or Kanan and Zeb or Hera and Zeb or whoever else.
yeah,
Any other combination wouldn't matter as much. You got to land Kanan and Hera, and you've got to land Kanan and Ezra. Those are the two most important right there.
mhm,
And if those work, the show works. And let me tell you, those work. And actually, I think Ezra's combo with everyone works. And from there, like the show functions. Um,
absolutely.
I also think like Kanan having the Grand Inquisitor in season one as his like core enemy was fantastic. I think like
Really
his
smart.
I honestly think like he really shines in season one. As much as he gets better and better throughout, like his story is so good in season one because he's coming from a place where he's doing so much learning. I just love everything about it.
Totally.
All right. Well, thank you
Full
everyone
circle.
for being so active in the chat tonight.
Yeah, we love you
Ashley and I
guys.
agreed on a lot of stuff, although her top two was completely not even different from what I have. They weren't even on my list. So that's what I like about this. We get these different perspectives on
Yeah.
everything.
Honestly, like, you ranked one thing that it was like, okay, I can totally see that. Like, I'm looking at your list here. The I like that you had battling the Inquisitors as Maul as number 4. You ranked that higher than I did because you're right. It is very detrimental. Like, you have them not only going up against like Jedi killers, but somebody that's trying to take your Padawan away. It's just
Yeah.
okay. I should have thought of that a little
You
more,
know what it
but
is? Everyone shines in that episode. How could
yeah,
you pick an MVP other than Ahsoka?
yeah,
But even then, like Matt Lanter comes back. There's so many things we could do a
yeah.
whole episode on.
James
Like
Earl Jones.
it's crazy. Matt
Yeah,
Lanter overlapped with James Earl Jones, and with Vader fighting Ahsoka next to all these Inquisitors. Robbie Damon pops in as the eighth brother. Chopper shoots him out of the air. I mean, you pick a moment. It happened in Twilight of the Apprentice. There's a crossblade lightsaber for no reason, just to make it look like that it mattered.
sure.
Like in
And
that
that
Force Awakens
random, the
didn't make
fact
no
that
sense.
Kanan
Yeah,
like uses the temple guard mask, the burned
yeah,
out temple guard mask, to shield his face after he faces the temple guards in the temple and like
mm,
becomes knighted by them. That's like a crazy full circle moment. So yeah, I probably should rank that
yeah.
higher. But
Oh,
yeah. Oh,
Sherry's laptop. Okay, all right.
I'm sorry, Sherry.
Very quickly, my top three. Number one was sacrificing himself to save his family, so that's Kanan, in Jedi Knight in season 4, and then being knighted as a Jedi in season 2, Shroud of Darkness, and defeating the Grand Inquisitor in Fire Across the Galaxy in season 1. That was my top three. Ashley's top three is very different.
Yeah, my top two. She said she missed the top two. My top two. Number two was the reveal of Jason Syndulla and how it was revealed that like his legacy would go on and that he had a child with Hera and first Twi'lek human hybrid in Star Wars history, and just want to see where it goes from there. And then my number one was Kanan and Hera moments. Like they're just adorable, and the fact that they just get to goof around and call each other love and have those romantic moments, like in season 4 where they're both in the alley and like the tension you could cut with a knife, but regardless of the silly clothes. But they also like goof off, and he's like, "This is my excited face," and it's like being with your significant other, and they just make you roll your eyes. So I just love the love between them.
Yeah,
So
less of a specific moment and more
yeah.
of
An
uh, you
overall
know,
arcing Cananness. Yeah.
exactly.
So,
Um,
thank you for
okay.
coming back. We appreciate you.
Yeah, thank you for rejoining. We are at our time, but we did have a few plugs. So one, we want to talk about what's happening this week on the network. So today was obviously our Best of Kanan spectacular. We'll be announcing our Rebels episode theme later in the week.
Mhm.
But this week, Daughters of the Galaxy. Ashley, tell everyone what we're doing on Wednesday.
Oh, this Wednesday is going to be so much fun. Jamie and I went through our list of creative Star Wars makers on the interwebs, mostly female run. So we're going to do our special. It's called Thank the Makers, the Fangirl Gift Guide. And we're going to be discussing our top 10. We got some fantastic makers.
There's some
All the
really
cool
cool stuff
shirts
out
and the
there.
cool pins that we
Mhm.
get. Yeah, that's where we get them. So
Shirts, pins, stickers, ornaments,
hoodies.
magnets. I looked at it all. You guys
Yeah.
sent me that list, and I was visiting all of them. So, and a lot of them are running deals right now too because of Black
Yeah.
Friday. Yeah,
Absolutely. And I hope sometimes they'll even run it right up until Christmas. So make
yeah.
sure you tune in on Daughters of the Galaxy so we can help you complete your geeky girl holiday shopping.
And then Thursday, join us for the VCN Watch Along, where we have movies that we are thankful for. They'll be announcing the movie on Wednesday. I don't have any clues this week, but tune in Wednesday to find out what the movie will be for Thursday night. And then on Sunday, the Jedi Archives is doing The Shadows of Starlight 2. And that's Sunday at 11 a.m. Eastern. Also, don't forget that the tickets go on sale for Family Vacation on December 1st. So that is Friday. So everyone be on the lookout. That, of course, is happening July 29th through August 2nd.
Oh, Spencer's got a clue in the chat.
Oh, there's a clue for everyone. So once we take down the
Woo!
graphic from the Family Vacation, which is going to be tickets go on sale this Friday. This is your clue for Thursday night. Yeah, so it's going to be a fun little while. I hope everyone is enjoying the non-Star Wars programming that is happening. What's going to happen is I'm
Crazy.
gonna end up hosting a non-Star Wars show on this network, and I'm going to slit my wrists. That's what's actually going to happen.
I'll help you.
So yeah, we have nothing
No,
but free
no,
time.
I
Yeah,
won't help
no,
you
don't-
slit your
don't
wrist.
even
I
say
will
it.
help you with
Yeah,
the
yeah.
possibility. Okay. No, we're not those friends. I'm sorry. I will never help you with that.
Oh, it's gonna be fine. Um,
not Spencer.
we're gonna recruit people. 2024 is all about recruitment. Everyone who's in the chat, we're gonna find out where you are and we're gonna put you to work. Don't you worry. It's gonna be really fun. All right, so thank you guys so much for joining
Friday.
us. Yeah, buy your tickets on Friday for the family vacation. And be sure to tune into everything else that's happening this week. We hope everyone had a wonderful Thanksgiving. We're
Yeah.
about a month out from, we're less than a month out from Christmas, even less
Christmas
time before Hanukkah
magic.
starts. So we hope everyone is
Woo.
having a fantastic kickoff to your holiday season. And we'll be on the lookout for holiday events coming soon to the network.
Yeah, it's exciting. You know how we celebrate here. You've been around a while. You guys
Mhm.
know. Well, we'll see you guys on Wednesday for Daughters of the Galaxy. We'll see you tomorrow for the happy hour. And just have a fantastic week. Thank you so much for joining us and the best of Canaan. It's fun.
Yeah, this is a lot of fun, guys. Thank you again. May the force be with you. Night.
Bye, guys.